Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Week in Guns, brought to you by Patriot Patch Company, VZ Grips, and Primary Arms. This show offers commentary on all of the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Matt LaRosiere, and here with me is my esteemed and handsome co-host, Mr. Otis McMuffins.
Hello.
And that's actually...
It's really weirdly quiet without Sean here.
Yeah.
Because normally he plays the music back to us and it's loud.
Like, right, it's aggressive. You know, it will be edited in for you guys though, with help. But no, it felt very weird starting the show without hearing the music. Yeah. All that. But no, yeah, my co-host is Othais from CN Arsenal. He's a good friend of mine. He's been on the show before, and from all of your comments, I was told that he should come back on the show more regularly.
We both know the only reason I'm here right now is that I'm the only one that stays up as late as you do.
That's also true. This is being recorded at it's after midnight.
Yeah, it's technically Monday.
It is Monday. But so yeah, we got a lot of super positive comments about you, and also one saying that you need to stop interrupting me. Okay. You're acting like a Yankee, talking over people.
Oh, is that what it is? Well, if you said anything of value, it wouldn't really matter.
But yes, I know you appreciate those types of values and commitments. So that was the one comment that
I really like I love the idea that I'm the one talking over you, by the way.
What do you mean by this?
You're a talker over.
Oh, only when it's really, really uninteresting.
Oh, okay. So like all the time around everybody.
Whatever. Anyway, let's talk about the first story. And this is something that's just so horrible to talk about.
Okay.
Of course, the presidential administration of present has nominated Mr. Stephen Dettelbach to lead valiantly the throne of the Bureau of Alcohol, Firearms, and Explosive.
It looks like it hurts you to say the name of that agency. Hey guys, do you know what happens when you need to regulate things that are not even remotely constitutional to regulate? So you put them under the tax code, but then the tax agents keep getting shot, so they don't like that. Well, you create a new department in order to do just the shit that nobody else wants to do.
Yeah,
and
you'll be amazed.
University. Guess what happens when you create a department to just do the shit that nobody else wants to do that's not really all that legal?
What happened?
All the idiots show up and they do it badly, which, by the way, if they did it well, it would also still be doing it badly. There's no correct answer. That's why this keeps getting worse.
Right. Yes. The legitimacy of the Bureau is at best, and I'm speaking very generously here, dubious.
No. It's just a tax. It's just a tax.
Right. Of course.
Which somehow turned into a ban. I don't even know how that part works, actually. We need to explain that one day.
The Overton window.
Like, yeah, exactly. How do you get to the point where your tax code has become a ban on something?
You have a judiciary that expresses no interest in protection of the rights of the people for an extremely extended period of time, and then you have a series of government lizards working in unelected positions where they have basically lifetime jobs, who you tell when they're hired, your job is, I don't know, look at the law, figure out how much power you have. And then they tend to go, okay, all of it.
So the new man in charge, when does he take the seat?
Well, we don't know. We don't know when or if it's going to happen.
They're already acting weird, right?
Yes. And so the big thing here is that, and that I kind of want to hit on, ATF is a administrative agency that is tasked with enforcing the law, right? So if you were a president and, I feel like you must have been able to see that this administration repeatedly breaks the trust of the people, has a, huge public perception of being unbelievably violent and evil. Who would you appoint to that position? Would you appoint somebody who could faithfully and dispassionately kind of like take the reins, or would you find an aggressive hyper partisan?
Well, if I'm a president, I'm going to want to extract the most wealth from the country over the rights of the individual. So they're all probably going to want to shoot me. So I'm going to vote, or I'm going to put in place anybody that's going to take away their guns,
That's
because
fair.
I don't want to get shot, and I'm a greedy moron who's going to try to take all the cookies from the cookie jar.
But dude, look, Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch say he's good.
Yeah.
See? There's the guy. He's pointing.
These are the endorsements I want.
Yeah. It's funny. This article from Bearing Arms, they ask an interesting question: are any fence sitters or opponents of Dettelbach really going to be swayed by learning that the man in charge of the Department of Justice during ATF's gun walking scheme, known as Operation Fast and Furious, believes that Dettelbach is the right man for the job?
I think he's the correct man for the job. I'm going to fly against the grain here.
Right,
Because
yeah.
in all seriousness, who the hell are we supposed to put in charge of this thing when the very person you want for this would believe the organization shouldn't exist?
Right. Well,
I mean,
or you
you're
would,
looking at sort of the Ron Swanson approach is the best you could ask for. But then, can you imagine Matt being in charge? Like, do you want that title? Do you want that title, Matt? Do you want to be head
do
of
I
the
want it?
ATF?
Yes.
You sure? You want that brand on you? You want to go? You want to go with that
Oh, well,
written on your back?
everyone would. It would. My first day would be interesting. The
But
firings would be quite literal.
but that's fantasy. We're talking about somebody that actually has to work in the organization and achieve goals. Like
Right.
nobody we want would be able to do that job.
Well, so this is what I've been struggling with, right? Like, obviously, I think that the entire department is illegitimate, but the question is there a director that like could be less bad? And I think it's like the question is whether you're an accelerationist or not.
No, I
Because
don't know. I don't know if it's that simple. I think it comes. So here's the argument that you have to follow, right? If they're the best possible ATF agent, nothing gets any worse, right?
mm,
But they can't really make anything all that much better for us. Not
well, they could in a lot
like
of
I guess
ways.
they could do a lot of things to streamline the process that's in place, but that makes the process that's in place more functional, which isn't necessarily. It shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
not supposed to be there. So why do we want it to be perfected? Number
We don't
one,
want to lend legitimacy to it. So,
right? But
but
then
I
number
was thinking
two,
that could possibly work, and not like work in our favor. But I
if
was like thinking in devil's advocacy sense, would maybe like a lobster clawed accountant type who has like no emotions or who's like literally a flesh computer, would that be better?
no, that would be worse because then they would take direction from outside. You need somebody that has their own impetus. Like, because unless they have an opinion of their own, they're just going to take marching orders from outside of the organization, which is not going to go well for us. So already the ATF uses sort of their limitless potential to crowd people out of legitimate things. Like you've been over this a dozen times in sort of the videos you do on Fudbusters, right? Like there's people that are well within their rights,
Right.
but they're bullied out by they're not defeated by the ATF. They're bullied by the ATF because they don't have 50 years and millions of dollars to fight the case, but the ATF does. They can sit there and they can dog you to the ends of the earth. You're dealing with companies that are now owned by 2 generations away from whoever started the company. And what do? They get dogged by the ATF on a perfectly legal product that they still had to register, right?
Right.
Like that's a whole nutty, like only the ATF can pull this crap off. Well, so the problem is there a director that could leave this all alone? Yes, he'll never get the appointment, number one. And number two, what you want then is you want the most transparently anti person you can get because they're vain enough to step in it and to push hard enough that we actually put money down to fight this stuff because we tend to
Right.
actually win pretty well in court when it gets to court. And so the only way it ever gets to court is pushing. So I guess you could say it's accelerationist, but the thing is, we kind of need to have some showdowns. There's been some cases where the ATF pushes and some judge goes, I don't understand. How is that the receiver? This is the receiver over here. And next thing you're like, we gotta go. We're gonna out of court. Like, like we need somebody dumb enough to go. We're still going to keep going. Stay in. Like that's what you
Yeah.
need. You need someone almost more determined to make the wrong choice.
It is. It's just horrifying because of a lot of the things that we've seen happen over the past two administrations. The bump stock thing, the auto key card debacle, where the human beings' lives were really destroyed by an ATF that was acting out and um, getting, I guess, aspirational or getting ambitious.
Well, not only that, but the exact thing that they were terrified of, this horrible auto sear thing getting loose, right? It ended up coming from Wish.com. Like the thing that they were afraid of that would show up in, all the bad neighborhoods in America or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of happened, but not through any of the routes that they were watching.
No.
It wandered in through legitimate commerce that was behaving, oh, surprise, actually illegally under the current understanding, right?
Right.
And so it's like, oh wow, it's sure that black market sure did just work fine. It didn't slow anything down, but you sure punished a lot of people that weren't doing anybody any harm.
Right.
So great, good job.
I don't know. That's why I say it's horrifying. And of course, I don't. I guess is it fair to say that you're endorsing Dettelbach as an accelerationist?
I just don't think it matters. I mean, it does, and it does in who gets hit and how they get hit. But
Right.
to the community as a whole, in a macro sense, I don't think it matters. Except the one thing that does scare me is a wolf in sheep's clothing, because we
Right.
always see the worst stuff turn up when everybody's sort of going, yeah, he's pro 2A. And
Right.
they're not. Like, it constantly happens, especially under Republicans, right? You get these guys that come in, they're like, I'm Republican, I'm right wing. And
Yep.
then they're just like, but we need a little common sense. And then next thing you know, you've got a bigger, problem than you've ever had before. So it feels like once more same as before whenever they're awful. But whenever it's like, if he came in and the 2A community was saying like, I actually love this guy, I'd be like, hold on.
What's going on?
That's when my paranoia kicks up, because it's like, oh, you guys are gonna stop watching. Like, hate is a motivator. You know what I mean? So if you have an ATF head that people hate, that's a motivator. If they're sort of largely indifferent to him or even supportive of him, we got big problems.
Yeah, we have huge problems, because then they're going to be like, well, it's way better than it would have been, right?
So I'm sorry, I'm screwing this all up. We should really hate him. He's the worst, and I hate it. And we should watch him. Like, if he gets in there, we should watch him all the time, and because he's the worst. There we go.
Well, he is very hateable. I mean, like, this guy is constantly courted by all of the anti-gun groups. When he ran for attorney general of, I forgot which state, but he very publicly espoused assault weapon bans. He very publicly espoused universal background checks, all this other stuff. It's just so manifest that this guy is naked contempt for gun owners.
Right.
So he's extraordinarily hateable.
To be fair, the others probably felt the same, but they were smart enough to keep their mouth shut.
What do you mean the others?
Like the previous directors.
That hasn't been one for a long time.
Yeah. Then who's got the ship? Because they're doing stuff right now.
So there's an acting director.
Yeah, but is he really, like, somebody is messing up? Somebody is messing up the e-forms and everything else. Like, all sorts of stuff has gone crazy the past couple months. Like, somebody's doing
Regina Lombardo, and
somebody's doing something right now, and nobody's paying attention. So
it's been Regina Lombardo, and she thought that she was going to get the nom as soon as Biden took office, and she did not. But she had this whole thing where she gave this huge presentation about like the future of the ATF, and it's going to be green, and we're going to go after all this stuff. She's the one who had the who announced the positions of the agency, that the big thing that they were going to be going for was pistol braces and incomplete firearm receivers.
Man, it looks like that suddenly started happening recently. I wonder if it's somebody making a bid to keep their job.
I do think I do wonder why she hasn't been considered, because then, like, does that mean that she's not extreme enough for them, despite how clearly extreme she's been behaving?
I don't know. There's something
because you could always do that appeal to authority, right? Where it's like, oh, but she's been in this position, she's been had it for all this time, and
not only that, but you can cut down about half of the ad hominems, because the people get nervous about criticizing a female politician in that regard, because they're just like, oh well, you can write off a bunch of stuff as just being like men just being mad that it's a woman. Like, you could just set it aside and just go, nope, we're not even listening to this. But when it's male on male, they'll be like, oh, they really hate that guy,
right? So there must be something disqualifying about her.
It's probably that we're not no, we haven't hated her enough. I could almost guarantee you that they haven't gotten enough complaints, so therefore they're like, well, she must not be doing much. I wonder,
could it be that she doesn't go to the same country clubs?
Yeah, I mean, there's that too. She hasn't played the game right. I don't know. The sudden activity might be a sign, though, that she's making a play. because
It's possible.
you got to admit, it got real weird lately. Like they've been doing some real weird.
Well, but she's been
statements.
on this. Like all of these moves were telegraphed for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised lately, I'll say.
No, but it's definitely been more motion than we're used to.
That's
Also,
true.
really,
I think
really
they're feeling emboldened.
Yeah, because it's really ambiguous statements too. Like, and I'm sorry, you've done a breakdown of this before, but they've been doing a lot of like, they're making announcements that sound good, but then you look at them like, I don't even know what this means.
Right.
You know, and there's no way to comply. Like it's sort of pseudo regulatory, but like you don't even know what you have to do to be in compliance because it doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's better for a police apparatus. And I mean, remember that like ATF fancies itself a law enforcement agency. And I mean, that's shouldn't be able to exist constitutionally, but here we are. If and it's just like you were talking about with your friend in your friend who's works at the police there, our friend, I know him too.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
not
gonna
naming
say
him.
you keep shoving them off on me. That's great.
Well, so but the thing is, the way the law was before, right? They it was vague enough to where they could just stop people and bother them just for having a gun. But
Yeah,
now
long
that it's
ago.
more yeah. But now that it's more clear, they're like, but wait, I can't trap them.
Right.
Right. So they love to work in these in these gray zones. So the further they expand the gray zones, the like larger their sticky tape is, right? And you lay one foot on the sticky tape and then they're going to run up to you and start
Now,
sniffing your
see,
clothes.
you're actually imagining the consequence of the gray zone, but weirdly, you're the person that's pushed this a lot to me, which is that the gray zone has another effect, which is that it makes business investments very difficult.
Right.
And so people stay out of the gray zone. And by the way, the gray zone could be the entire gray zone could be in legal territory, and it could all go to court, and it could be found to be that you're completely innocent of anything, and that you were always allowed to do this.
Right.
But the problem is, do you want to bank $1 million company on it when you could go put that somewhere else in another investment? And we
Right.
see that constantly. People are scared out of producing in the gray zone. There's very few people brave enough to work in the gray zone. So yeah, it's almost like you can just sort of use that awkwardness to just wipe out economically a sector that you don't like in that community.
Well, that's exactly what it's doing. I mean, that's
Right.
exactly, we know that Polymer 80 was the target, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this false logic later on in the show.
Oh,
But
okay.
we know that Polymer 80 was the target of their latest, some of their latest forays. Why was it the target of it? Because it got popular. People knew the name, and the ATF kind of felt like they were having their eye spit in. And so what do? Reinterpret the law without telling anyone first, go violently raid them. Thank God no one was hurt. And then tell everyone, oh, by the way, this is why we did that. This is what we were thinking. Okay.
Yeah. But don't worry, you can get an ATF letter of opinion, and then that means it's legal, right?
Well, oh yeah, and also we've rescinded all of our previous letters.
Oh, they could just do that because it's just an opinion. Stop
Right.
sending them letters. You're just telegraphing what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's been a good 20 minutes on the
I'm sorry.
ATF as a general matter. No, that's good. I mean, and I think it was a valuable conversation. It is very interesting that the chess game that we're watching unfold before us. So let's talk about something that is very not like a chess game. And for the second time in a row, let's talk about Alec Baldwin.
Ooh, there's so many comments on your Fudbuster clip of what we talked about, and they were so unhappy.
Yeah, I don't get why they're like he's clearly criminally liable.
Well, because the same things keep happening over and over and over again, which is that I will say something like, so you were talking about the criminal side, I was talking about the mechanical side.
Right.
I said, clearly, it is most likely that he held the trigger down. However, when you're talking about like murder, especially if you want to say murder, although they would argue manslaughter in this case, I'm sure. But the point is, when you're arguing at that level, they want to say shadow of a doubt. You heard that phrase all the time. So the problem is, when you just blanket say this gun cannot malfunction, that actually creates an opening for the defense when they come in and go, hey, look, here's a bunch of malfunctioning that gun. I wonder if that happened, So, by the way, the prosecution said this is impossible. So when you're the prosecution, you should probably be saying it's almost impossible for this to have happened any other way.
Right.
And and in this footage, he's clearly don't get caught off guard and cocky by saying, okay. So that's my point. When I say that they can malfunction, I'm not saying that his did. I'm
Right.
saying that you should be aware. And on the legal side of things, you're not saying that he's a good boy and did nothing to deserve being yelled at for shooting two people. That's not what you're saying. You're saying
Right.
that in a case of legal liabilities. You know what I saw today, actually, that reminded me of this entire case? Someone posted a picture of an orangutan with an AR-15.
I want to be that.
Right. So there was an orangutan with an AR-15, probably unloaded. But I thought to myself, if that orangutan shot somebody with that AR-15, who's liable? Because he's an orangutan. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Right.
Now, I
I think-
understand that Alec Baldwin should know what he's doing, but he's an actor, so I think he's probably on par with an orangutan.
Orangutan, yeah, for sure.
So someone gave the Alec Baldwin orangutan a gun. Is Alec Baldwin cognizant enough about firearms to be liable, or would the other person be? You know what I mean?
Well, at
Like,
least criminally, right?
yeah, that's the thing.
Right. It's very interesting, and it's what we were saying, and that was the point we were making, was that it's an interesting situation. And I'm talking to the audience because they were dumping on me, saying he's clearly criminally liable, and I wonder if they listened to the episode. But there's been, interestingly, an attorney has written up an article on this horrifyingly formatted website where he lays out the case for a involuntary manslaughter conviction for Alec Baldwin. And, he goes through the interviews and stuff. And of course he says my favorite lawyer thing, which is, oh my God, stop talking to the cops. But
stop talking to the cops, stop talking to everybody in sight. Oh my God. I've heard like 3 different stories from his mouth.
Right.
All I think in the same 2 days.
It's fascinating how you can get so far in your life with no self-preservation instincts.
You know what it is? I wonder if it's just the drive for attention. Like they're all looking at me, so I'll just keep talking.
Well, so I said I didn't know what the definitions were in that state. Well, he's laid it out here. In New Mexico, involuntary manslaughter is defined as the unlawful killing of a human being without malice, and that's the definition of manslaughter. Then involuntary manslaughter consists of manslaughter committed in the commission of a lawful act that might produce death without due caution and circumspection. So then the lawyer's argument basically, this gentleman's argument basically thrusts to, well, he had a gun, which is inherently a dangerous instrument under the law, which, yes, it is. And so therefore...
And he's just far enough above an orangutan to know that.
Right, yeah, we're talking like bonobo level.
You know what that would hinge on? Did he know that was a real gun with fake ammo? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because if he thought it was a prop gun, then he's, even under those terms, he's okay, right?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
When we talk about standards of due care, it's under the circumstances.
Uh-oh.
And here it has to be in the circumstances of a movie set. And, people are commenting, oh, he went and got the gun, like he went in without their permission. I don't know. I don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. I've
never seen that list. By the way, the stuff that people tell me happened, and then I try to go find it.
You can't find it.
It's not, I can't find, I see where it's claimed, but I don't see, like,
evidence.
Anyway.
Especially evidence to carry a burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Right.
Yeah.
So, we'll just leave that out in the open, right? How he got it out in the open. The question is, what is the due standard of care on a movie set? I don't know. I have never been a movie actor, but something tells me that if every time before a shoot, the actor starts fiddling with the gun and opening the cylinder and looking through it, they would be yelled at, right? Because this item has been staged, presumably by the parts department. They may, and that's one of the biggest things films get flack for by gun nerds and who post about it online and IMFDB is when you fired and then the empty cylinders don't line up.
Right.
So I'm sure there's a policy of don't touch it. Do not.
So it's more than that too, because if we look at the 2 big cases that we know of from people dying on set, the big ones, right? We had the Crow, and there was oh good Lord, I can't think of his name. The gentleman that shot himself in the head.
Right.
oh god, I can't remember the actor or the movie. I'm terrible with actors and movies. I'm sorry, folks. But the first case that we know of was a gentleman who was given a blank fire revolver, and it had a blank in it, and he thought somehow that blanks were not like they just were noisemakers, and joking around off hours, essentially, he took the prop gun, cocked it, and put it to his own head and pulled the trigger. And of
John Eric
course,
Hexum.
thank you. And he just like his skull became like part of his skull became the projectile, yeah. And so then you have from the filming of The Crow, someone who we don't know who handled what was a probably primitive dummy round, is the guess, which
Yeah,
is
the prevailing consensus, the prevailing theory is that it was just a stock cartridge with the powder dumped out, put back in
right,
on a live primer.
right. And so they were probably using this to film a loading segment, which is also not smart to have had a live. Anyway, so a live primer, no powder, which means that somebody messed with it and they play shot it and it went pop and it startled them and they just put it down and told nobody what happened, right? Well, then that left a bullet lodged and then someone else got shot. So the point is, in both of those cases, someone who didn't understand firearms had handled a firearm and made a huge mess that cost somebody a life. So the problem is when you say, oh, Alec Baldwin should have X, Y, and Z, if that gun was handed to him by someone who was supposed to be some sort of certified, accredited, whatever gun expert in Alec Baldwin land, and I understand that a lot of you are already fuming, but you got to understand all the 5 rules, everything that you know about gun safety, you learned from quote unquote experts.
Right.
So he's being told by a quote unquote expert that this is a safe firearm. Should orangutan Alec Baldwin start fiddling with the gun to make it safer than the expert that handed it to him? And that assumes, by the way, that the expert handed it to him. We still don't have confirmation as to who handed him the gun or how he got it.
Right.
But assuming it was handed to him by an expert, the correct answer is he should do what the expert says. He's just the friggin' actor.
Right. Well, and also, here's the other thing. Let's say he opens the loading gate and spins the cylinder. What the hell is that going to tell him?
Right.
I'm sure he sees dummy rounds all the time.
No, he would have to be a trained expert to recognize that's the problem. So,
just like, what would he do? Open it, and he's, oh, yep, there's a bullet in there. There's supposed to be a fake one. Yeah, cool.
Now, the one thing that can fight him is opening his dang mouth, because he said that there was supposed to be no ammunition in the gun whatsoever.
Right.
So that would lead to the argument that, okay, maybe he should have opened it and inspected it to see, because he's at least smart enough to know whether or not there's ammo or not. But I still say, when we're really looking at sort of like liability and who's at fault, you're going to have this argument that the way movies get made, the way everyone in the room has signed up to this agreement that there is one person who knows how the gun should be handled for everybody's safety, and we should all behave according to that person's plan.
Right.
And so it's going to be really hard to pin it on him for being the guy actually pulling the trigger, unless he messed with that gun without the intervention of that expert.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It does just interest me, though, when people keep saying that he should have checked it. Like,
the problem is you're assuming that Alec Baldwin is as smart as you, the person who handles guns and doesn't shoot your family.
Yeah. And also the person who doesn't, who probably doesn't have movie, empty cases, like fake cartridges just laying around all over the place.
No.
You would know what the mark was on it if you did, right?
Right.
I've got fake cartridges. They got a hole in the side of them. That's how you know. Alec Baldwin, what's it going to tell him? So, like, what is the standard of care for an actor in this situation? And I think it is do as you're told, point the gun at the thing. That's what I think it is.
Right.
So I disagree with this guy's analysis. I think, I appreciate what he wrote. And he
now, by the way, I'm sorry, if you were just a person on the street, not in a movie set with what was supposed to be an expert, and you were just monkeying around with a gun that you did not think was loaded and did this to somebody, that's a totally different scenario, because you weren't told by a quote unquote expert that this was a safe device at the moment to do what you were doing. Because I hope that makes sense to people. There's like a totally different standard for being in a sealed environment versus just playing around with a dangerous object.
So here's the jury instructions that this gentleman has said this is the type that would be used in a case in New Mexico for an involuntary manslaughter case. And I'll read them out here. And I think even here, there's some problems. For you to find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter, the state must prove to your satisfaction beyond a reasonable doubt each of the following elements of the crime. 1. That Alec Baldwin pointed a loaded firearm at Miss Hutchins and depressed the trigger, firing a bullet into her. 2. Alec Baldwin should have known of the danger involved by Alec Baldwin's actions. 3. Alec Baldwin acted with a willful disregard for the safety of others. 4. Alec Baldwin's act caused the death of Miss Hutchins. This happened in New Mexico on or about the 21st day of October, 2021. So, 1, pointed a loaded firearm. How do they know beyond a reasonable doubt? Right.
By his own testimony, he said that he was told that the firearm was unloaded.
Right.
And that it was at that moment a safe prop. That's from his own statement to the police. So if that proves to be true, then that's already a problem for their case.
Right. Because the problem is the scienter, that he knew of the danger involved by his actions. And if in his brain it was a prop gun, that means he did not know of the danger. And I'm, of course, simplifying it here.
No, you know what? Actually, let me put it to you this way. If you were at an Army-Navy store and you saw a box of inert grenades marked inert grenades, and you pulled the pin on one and threw it into the changing room where your friend was trying on a cool beret, and you blowed him up real good, would that be manslaughter? You were told it was an inert grenade. It was in an environment in which you expected it to be an inert grenade.
Right.
The only difference between it and a real grenade was whether or not there was some chemical substance in there that made it go boom, right?
Right.
This is very comparable to the situation we're seeing Alec Baldwin in.
No, that's stupid. That's stupid, Othais. No, you're an idiot, because what I would do is I would take off the fuse and I would check it.
Imagine that a ordnance expert said, these grenades are inert, and you're like, that's weird that you're standing here telling me this, but I'm going to huck one into that changing room now because I'm going to see if I can bean my friend right in the beret.
Right.
And then you were covered in friend juice.
Yeah, I still would have dismantled the grenade to check whether there was any TNT inside. I think that any reasonable person would first dismantle the grenade.
I mean, this is equivalent to what this is much more comparable to Baldwin's situation, because he's not a gun expert like a lot of people listening to this would frankly rate themselves as. Right.
Well, and also, like, a lot of you guys that are watching this, you probably have a lot more knowledge than you give yourselves credit for. If you mess around with guns, twice a week, if you just mess with them and operate them and practice your handling exercises, you are probably in like the top, like, 5% of gun owners in terms of your ability.
You're top 1% if you don't have any holes in your ceiling. God, even Matt will apparently take a 22 short to the ceiling if you dare him.
It was cool. But anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that just because of a lot of the discussion we had in the comments. Now the next story.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, so happy.
Okay.
No, I'm not happy. This is a serious news show.
Okay.
This is regular stuff.
Yeah, we are smart, expert people.
Yeah.
If we gave somebody an unloaded gun and they shot someone, we'd go to prison.
Yeah, in big trouble.
Yeah.
Although they really should dismantle the gun and check the barrel and make sure that it's the right one, or whatever the hell it is. Anyway. So Karl Casada of In-Range TV fame, he is a significant figure in the gun zone. He went to a
I'm sorry. I'm just like, any story involving Karl is going to be something of a shit show.
Yes,
the man knows how to find controversy, and then it's like, I'm gonna disclose this. Karl is a friend of mine, and I like him. But oh god, what's the name of that gentleman?
I haven't met him yet, but you keep telling me I get along with him.
I haven't met him in person. I just talk to him on the phone all the time.
Yeah,
actually, he's so far away from me, and we don't go to the same events. What is it, Steve Harvey? Is he the one that reacts weird on TV whenever it's like they guess the word and he goes, "Why would you say that?" And it shows up on the board. And he does this his whole that guy's a millionaire from that shtick, right? Right. So like Karl just wades into situations, says the thing, and then everybody like goes blah blah blah. It starts a whole argument. And he makes the Steve Harvey face, like, I can't believe people are getting upset about this. Clearly not. Like, I love him. But I mean, this is exactly what happens. To be fair, he should be, but he needs to find a way to monetize exactly that because he's so good at it.
Yeah, no, he's farming outrage and not getting the benefit of it. And
no, but he's not farming it. That's the I mean, unless he's a really good liar.
Well, listen. If you go out every morning and do random things with seeds and tools, and plants come up, you are farming. It's just not on purpose.
I don't mean to plant them. I just they stick to my butt, and I sit down here and there. And next thing you know, they're planted. I don't know. Like,
and especially after a certain amount of regularity, people would be, if you kept bringing tomatoes into the store and going, I don't know where I got these, just take them. People will eventually start calling you farmer. Just take them. I hate these. Which is exactly the situation here. So let's take a step back.
I'm sorry, before we go any further, if you'd like to learn more about Karl, please subscribe to In Range TV. One word.
Yes. So let's take it a step back. A while ago on the show, we talked about the
for the audio listeners, he's smiling like a manic lunatic with a Cadbury egg stuffed into the sides of his cheeks. I don't know what's going on, but the sugar is strong with whatever this grin is.
Well, so the Cobra 9, which was developed by Derwood, who's a nice guy by all accounts. By all accounts, he's the nicest guy.
Wait, what's a Cobra 9?
So
no, this is a 3D printed thing.
Right. This is a 3D printed self-loading.
We need a general view of where we're going, my friends. So there's a 3D printed firearm designed by a man who has Maya installed on his computer.
I don't think they use that anymore.
Oh.
So here I'm going to share the screen.
It's good enough for Toy Story.
It was. So there's the gun.
We're watching a man shoot a 3D printed gun.
Right, and it is a 9mm self-loading, PCC type of deal.
I don't want to insult anybody. He had a bit of lemon mouth.
Sure did.
It doesn't show confidence when you're braced.
The title is Cobra 9 Delayed Blowback, the new standard for all 9mm pistol caliber carbines.
Now, how does a Cobra 9 delay blowback? Because as I understand it, when you're printing 3D printed firearms, the pressure containment and locking surfaces are a big frigging deal because you're working with a layered sort of filament style of plastic, right?
Right, and there are ways around this, of course.
Right, so if you can find a way to semi-lock a firearm to delay blowback, then you've come up with hopefully a good system that's not going to put a lot of stress on the plastic parts and yet gives you a working firearm, right?
Right. Oh, okay. And as an aside, there are some people in the 3D gun community who are very mad at you right now for something you said in a Q&A.
What?
I then told them to stop and listen to the question again. And then they weren't as mad, but they
wait, what was I getting in trouble? This was a Q&A on my channel that we're talking about?
On your channel where you said that the question was, what's the most innovative age in firearms? May suggested that it might have been right now with 3D printing, and you correctly, I think, asserted that no, because in reality, with 3D printed guns, we're kind of revisiting the turn of the century. It's
3D printing's an efficiency. It's not necessarily a design.
Right. But then you kind of just started lambasting on 3D printing as a material and like 3D printed materials, and you said a lot of stuff.
I said it had limitations that people don't like to hear, and then you didn't like that.
No, you were wrong.
I'm wrong.
Especially
it's not a layered.
Directions.
It's not a layered process that creates a grain.
Okay. Yes, but there are
is it a layered process?
What's forging? What's forging?
Show me the printer that's doing this, and we'll get into it. I'm not saying it can't happen in the future, but to say that that's now currently what is the most innovative is not.
You said you're not aware of other manufacturing processes that create a huge difference in strength along different axes, and that's literally why things are forged.
I mean, if you could print back and forth, that'd be good. You could do that.
Anyway,
called cross-hatching.
I knew what you were saying, and I didn't have a problem with it. But
until you did, then you did.
No, I didn't. I still don't. Anyway, stop it! Stop bullying me! Anyway, don't bully me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So How would you define a delayed blowback mechanism?
Probably a little bit more than Savage would in 1915.
Well, so necessarily there's some mechanical component, right, that delays the opening of the breech, right?
Right.
And so you're going to see some moving parts in the bolt necessarily, right?
The point is that there should be some minor amount of dwell time in which
Right.
more gas pressure is vented, or at least expanded on, before the breech starts opening.
Right.
If you're at the point where you're reliably delaying the breech, this is actually kind of a weird thing. If you're at the point where you've delayed the breech enough that the bullet has fully escaped the muzzle and you're venting gas, you could almost argue you're touching a locked breech in
Right.
terms of what you're getting out of it, because that's what a locked breech does for you. It allows the bullet and most of the gas, the really propellant gas, to get on its way so that it's not passed straight in the barrel, which is then
Right.
hurling back at you faster, or even if it's fixed barrel, the slides moving back, or whatever the mechanism is. Like, so delayed blowback is something sort of in between immediately opening and actually locking and letting the bullet get clear,
Right.
along with
And that is a really interesting thing, because I've seen people putting headspace gauges like into NP5s,
right.
and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and they don't, because the main difference here is that with a locked breech, you have a fixed point where the bolt is not going to go further back until it begins unlocking.
Right.
Especially with like roller delayed, it's much more nebulous. And
Well,
that's why we check the gap.
to be fair, delayed blowback itself is very nebulous, because
Right.
the idea is if you can slow down the opening of the breech at all, technically you've delayed it.
Right.
But we've seen systems as silly as Savage had a pistol in which there was an operating lug that worked opposite the rifling pattern, and the idea was that the resistant friction of the bullet going down the barrel would cause a delay in the opening of the breech. And like, people to this day, over 100 years later, still argue if it had any merit whatsoever.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
That's yeah. Well, and like I actually had somebody the other day defend the Blish lock to me.
Yeah, the what is like coefficient of friction between
Yeah,
different
dissimilar metals and
yeah,
the sticking.
yeah.
Yeah. It was ludicrous. Well, so I think, at least, and I've talked with a lot of experts about this, to be delayed blowback, something has to mechanically delay the opening of the bolt. I think that, given the terms, I think you're right. If there is anything that is delaying the opening of the bolt, it's probably delayed blowback.
Right.
But
Now, wait,
then what is straight blowback?
hold on, you said mechanically delay.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a firearms historian. I've never known a firearm to emotionally delay.
So with straight blowback, you've got
spiritually delay.
the only thing keeping a straight blowback safe is mass.
Right.
There's no moving components that it's the mass of the bolt.
Right.
Mass and friction.
Okay.
So take a look at this bolt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 9mm bolt.
We're looking at a silver rectangle with a pin sticking out of the side of it.
Yeah, and 2 pins sticking out the front to imitate to like interface with the locking hood of a Glock barrel, which is probably the most insane possible way of doing this.
Okay, so wait, I'm so confused. There's 2 pins in the breech face sticking out.
Yep.
And those pins
they go to where a Glock barrel's locking shoulder would be.
Is that in order to trip something?
I don't understand why it's there.
Okay.
I feel like it's to prevent maybe the extractor from overriding on the barrel.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Okay, so it's some sort of spacer, minimal spacer thing.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And then it's a regular breech face that has an extractor in it, firing pin hole, that kind of thing.
Yep. And it's a bunch of TIG welded together steel.
Yeah, I'm literally looking at what appears to be 3 lengths of like what, 1/4 inch thick steel? Not even. No, this gotta be like 1/8 inch thick.
I don't know.
Okay, so it's like somebody took a bunch of little silver flat bars and welded them together.
So if I told you that this bolt weighed 1 1/3 pounds,
that's hefty.
Well, for a delayed blowback bolt, it sure is. What would you call this? Would you assume this firearm was straight blowback or something else?
At the current moment, I don't see any moving parts. I assume there's a firing pin in there.
Right.
The extractor probably flexes and is sprung. I do not see anything that would move, so I'm interested.
Magnets.
How do they work?
I don't know, and I don't want to hear from a scientist about this. But how this gun works is that it has a pound and a third bolt, pound and a quarter, whatever it is, which is the weight of direct blowback bolts. And there are 6 rare earth magnets in the top of the receiver pulling the bolt upwards. And they're calling this magnet delayed blowback.
Now, why is upwards pulling it into a locking shoulder of some sort? Is there a recess?
No.
Is there like a frictional...
And they're going against each other.
Is there like a frictional slope? Because in the pistol that I described earlier, it had a lug that traveled in a slope, and there wasn't an actual locking portion of the slope because it would just, as easy as you could move the slide, it would rotate within that channel, right?
Right.
So, there's still this offset channel because that way, with the reverse friction on the barrel, in theory, the rotation would resist the channel. Okay, so this thing's being drawn upwards. Is there any other resistance other than just sort of dragging? Is what I'm saying. Is there like a shaped dished section?
No. From what I understand, no. I've looked at the CAD. I don't know.
I have a recommendation. Wait, what's this gentleman's name? I'm sorry. It was
Derwood.
Okay, Derwood. I have a recommendation for Derwood. Make like an indentation that it pulls into, and then argue that that's the thing that's doing that.
That might actually do something.
Right. I win. And then 100 years later, you'll argue about it like we do the Savage thing.
I feel now if there was an indentation, that would be as delayed blowback as lever delayed is.
As long as there's some method for trying to keep that engagement, which would be the magnetic force,
right? Which is not much, but anyway, but
it would keep if it kept the engagement anyway. So we're already getting the argument. So I take it there's arguments about whether or not magnets are actually helping with delayed blowback.
That's the question is whether or not the magnets are a delay.
I mean, they're providing resistance.
They are certainly providing resistance, but
therefore the breach is going to open slower.
Perhaps.
No. Is there more resistance?
Well, for sure.
No, mathematically, is there more resistance than if there were no magnets?
There would have to be.
Okay, then the breach is opening slower.
But is it opening slower at a rate that couldn't be accomplished with a spring?
Probably not.
And if it's that's the thing.
That's the game you're going to play, though. So then the min-max. So this is the real argument. Then. So hold on. Let's get to the real argument. The real argument is this efficient? Because in order to get a powerful enough magnet to really do this, it would weigh 34 pounds or more on the gun,
or you'd be carrying a
battery pack. Yeah.
And you'd have like complicated MOSFETs that turned it on and off.
Right. You do all this crap. So that's not happening because that would be really inefficient compared to having a locking shoulder. So then you have to say, okay, with the force we're getting from these magnets, how much do they weigh versus just adding more mass to the bolt to get the same delay?
Right.
But the argument could be that if we make this mass that we would have in it anyway, if we make it magnetic, then not only do we get the mass, we also get the magnets. And it's like, okay, then that's sort of a redundancy position. Great. But is there any material benefit to constructing it this way that justifies the use of other materials that are more expensive, harder to get, harder to inset? Right. So does it?
Probably not, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because the simple fact is that this is the exact same weight as most straight blowback bolts. And here's the other thing. I understand your sophist argument that you've made, and I appreciate it.
I'm just pointing. It's definitely a delayed blowback. It's just, does it have any value?
Well, but so then is a Mac 11 a mass delayed blowback?
No,
let me ask you another question.
This is something other than mass. So this is the problem we run into. Blowback is delayed blowback because of the mass and the spring, but we just don't count those. Like we just right. So
let me ask you another question.
We have a delay that is not the mass and the spring. We definitely have a delayed blowback. The problem is the most marginal delayed blowback we've ever heard of. Right. To be fair, I could stuff chewing gum.
Hold on. No, stop. don't let me do this.
Okay, I'm
All
sorry.
right. Let me ask you a different question.
All right.
If we're arguing that additional friction is a delay system,
Right.
if I take, an FGC9 or whatever, and I fill the bolt channel with peanut butter,
Right.
have I developed my patent peanut butter delayed blowback firearm?
Yeah, you just have to. It's a consumable. You do know that some of the early one of the early solutions to black powder machine guns, because they're having huge problems with fouling, was sort of like a GAC tank. Like there would just be this horrible sticky tar tank that would like catch all the powder, and you'd have to just. But it was easier to just push that crap around than it was to push the powder around. And also, it turns out that it reduced the sound of the shot, and they were like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And then they never went with it, and then the silencer came out later. So like, but no, there's been dumb solutions for stuff plenty of times. Like
Right.
you get stuck, but I assume there's some controversy here, by the way, Matt, because I've already started my own controversy. Where are we going?
Okay, so
Because we haven't gotten to Karl yet.
Karl goes to the the Robert Pincus gunmakers match,
Okay.
and he does a video with
Now
Mr. Derwood.
No, hold on. This is the match that was slightly controversial because supposedly they were taking people's actual names and identifying details in what is supposed to be a largely anonymously dominated community, right?
Right, yes, and forcing them to
Dox themselves.
dox themselves, basically, and then
Okay.
publicly releasing that document, which was utterly fascinating. So here's the weapon firing, and the recoil impulse does not look. It doesn't look terribly different to me than any other AR9. Does it to you?
To be fair, I don't know the weight of everything. I would have
That's
to
true.
handle it, but it's certainly not completely flat shooting.
So
there is recoil and barrel tipping happening.
right. So there was a huge Twitter battle that happened over the use of the term delay.
Oh yeah, because this is ambiguous as crap.
Right, wherein Derwood came out and said, "No, it's not delayed blowback. We're calling it deleted blowback now in the instructions."
Wait, why is it deleted blowback?
Whatever, fine. I mean, that's fine.
What does deleted mean? I'm having a panic attack.
That's what they went with, and so that's what it said. It's the deleted blowback thing.
What is
But
deleted
then
blowback? They deleted the blowback?
It's gone.
It doesn't blow back anymore.
So
that sounds even more. I feel
Karl comes on with him, and on this video,
you know this little bolt action 22s that you can have semi-auto or bolt action?
Yes, I have a Walther Sport Model 2.
When you put it in bolt action mode, that's deleted blowback. Do you regret having me on the show tonight?
No.
Okay.
It's
because everybody else does.
You're somewhat obstructive tonight, but that's okay. I appreciate it, you, and I love you very much. The thing that happened here is that Karl, who should know better, kept referring to it as delayed blowback, magnet delayed blowback, magnet delayed blowback, magnet delayed blowback, and everybody kind of dumped on him, right? They were very not nice, and so then he came here, and in the YouTube comments, he says, "Yeah, I used the phrase magnet delayed blowback. I couldn't really think of a better phrase because it's really magnet-induced recoil and rate reduction, but ultimately it's still the combined mass and spring tension that makes the King Cobra 9 truly direct blowback, but the magnets decelerating the bolt in the cycle truly really does change the impulse. Firing one of these things without the magnets is far more jumpy than with the magnet impulse dampening the system."
Do they wait? They have a version without the magnets?
No, they just don't put them in.
Is there footage of that?
Yeah.
Is it different? Is there recoil difference?
Here, I'll show you. It's actually a friend of mine.
Is it being benched or is it just being shot freehand?
It was shot with a pistol brace.
Oh my god, you guys are not engineers about this. You're not being autistic enough.
Oh, this isn't me. Oh, this isn't my boys.
We need to put it in a fixed sled with a spring-loaded system and a high-speed camera, so we see how far back it goes. Like, think of like a crappy episode of MythBusters. All right, this is how we got to do this.
So,
and then also when you
remove
remove the magnets, you have to weigh them and replace them with exactly the same weight. You
Yes.
do?
With peanut butter.
Okay. We have a comparative?
Yeah. So
Okay.
this one here has the 6 magnets installed, and this one here has no magnets.
I like how I wrote top left and bottom right instead of using
Yeah,
arrows.
Anyway.
Is there a measurement?
No.
I have to
That's all
watch
we
two
got.
you're making okay, folks at home.
Here.
It's a split screen thing. He's making me watch 2 videos at once. How? And nobody has taken the time to scale these to each other and put a line on the screen.
Put lines, yeah.
It needs a line. I don't.
So this is not a project of the group that I am affiliated with, but look at the muzzle flip. The one without magnets, and it's almost impossible to tell, but it seems that the one without magnets has slightly less.
Yeah, but he's wearing grippy gloves in that one.
Oh, yeah. What a terrible test.
Right. He's got, okay, so hold on. There's 2 videos. They literally, I can tell they're not zoomed in the same amount. The camera got moved or the zoom was changed. So there's more cropping in one than the other. He's not wearing gloves in one than the other. He doesn't, like, you can't prove it, but how do you know if he's got the same hold? You know what I mean?
They don't
like,
fire at the same time.
Right. Are they this is not a good test. I'm sorry. We have to test it better. But anyway.
It's a terrible test.
Yeah, it is a terrible test.
But
see, I like by the end of this video, you're on Team Casarda. That's what happened.
No.
First of all, this is clearly magnet delayed because there's some sort of delay.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's clearly magnet.
Listen,
delayed.
Okay.
It is so it may be so
sophist, right?
may be so marginal as to not have
I
any
thought I was
whatsoever.
the lawyer on this call, and you're sitting here making the most intensely.
It is absolutely delayed.
Like
it's just not. It's probably not useful at all, but it's delayed.
Listen.
If
I appreciate the word craft.
Was that match grade 9mm? Because with the amount of delay that we're dealing with here, we're going to need identical loads.
Right. It's ludicrous. Anyway, the prevailing opinion is that it's not delayed blowback. Karl himself opined that it was not delayed blowback.
Oh, now I'm mad. Karl, what the hell?
What do you...
This is going to get back to Karl. Karl, it absolutely is magnetically delayed blowback. It's just
stop it.
Invalid.
Stop that. Stop
it's
this.
Just, it's whether it's useful
You're
gonna
or not. Make the
but it's definitely
3D boys more mad.
More.
Anyway, let's look at how this went on Twitter. This is where Karl, he says the same thing. He's saying firing one of these without the magnets is far more jumpy. With the magnet impulse dampening systems, these things with the magnets feel like an MP5. Doubt it. He said he fired both variants, and that's his experience. Go ahead and continue to tell me it does nothing, but my direct experiential evidence dictates to me otherwise. I do think the weight might have had a lot of influence there.
Yeah,
but this is the cherry on top.
Wait, was there a difference in weight with the magnets?
Well, there's magnets now.
How much weight or how many?
Magnets are heavy.
Yeah, but how many are in there? How much is
now
the weight?
The cherry on the story.
See, they should have replaced the magnets with something of equal weight that's not magnetic.
Right, but this is not the group that I'm usually affiliated, where we, do tests and things.
Your favorite guest is here.
Tula?
Yeah.
Tula's a dog that's white and black,
she's
and I like
giant
her a lot.
dog, but I can't take you OUT right now, my friend.
She makes a funny noise when you rub her ears.
Yeah, she does.
So Karl comes up after all this. My first contact with 3D printer / gun maker community has been disappointing. The drama, accusations, and toxicity with just a few videos and one match is astounding. False claims about the event itself, vitriolic tweets here, and comments makes one have to wonder, why bother? The specter of authoritarian gun bans are real and something to be concerned about, but they don't hold a candle to the reality that we as a community are absolutely our own worst enemy.
He put something controversial on the internet. What did you expect? I get called names all the time.
Yeah, who cares? Me too.
But I don't even do controversial stuff. I'm right.
Well, and then he later said that he will never be doing anything with the 3D printed gun community again. I would just like to point out a small piece of fact that this was not Karl's first contact with the 3D printer gun maker community. In fact, Ivan the Troll and Control Pew were in contact with him for a long time, where they were discussing how they could, legally get these guns into his hands so that he could look at them, so he could do these videos. And then COVID happened, and Karl wanted to do videos about the IQ test mask, the IQ test mask thing, and that became his focus.
I don't know what that is. I didn't see
just
that.
Kind of
video.
wandered off. You know what that is?
No, I actually.
You made a lot of like pro-COVID restriction videos.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't watch those. I watch the gun stuff. I don't know. It comes up. It's not.
And I do
every
like
for 2 years, everything said COVID, and you know what I did? I clicked like none of it.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. That's what I did. But of course, me being a gun industry buzz news aggregator,
I think you're I think you're one of the 3D guys, and your butt hurt that Karl's not going to come hang out with you now. I mean, it's okay that you are really jealous and you want Karl's attention, and now he said he's not going to play with you no more. But if you want, I can talk to him. I can say that you apologize on behalf of all the 3D community people, and that you're ready to accept him into your fold.
Shut up. You know what you can actually be jealous of? These grips.
Oh, that's one of those. What is that?
What do you mean? No, you were holding these. You were holding
this.
That's the last episode.
Matt has held up a 1911 with custom scales.
Yep.
Which appear to have Sailor Moon on them.
Yeah, sure.
And Invid Scout ship.
Invid Scout ship?
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, that's Boomer Animu. You don't know it because you only watch this stuff.
Anyway, these grips came from our sponsor, vzgrips.com. They are a cool company.
Convinced to cut you an Animu on your gun.
I did make them do that. And when I did that, I thought they were going to tell me to go away and cancel the sponsorship. And next thing I know, I had these really cool Animu grips on my gun.
Did they even judge you?
I don't think so.
No, you guys hear that? You can go to VZ Grips and get judgment-free Animu grips.
Well, I don't think they don't generally sell those, but
you should email them for custom Animu.
I mean, I'm sure they'll do it for their price.
I think you have to. Well, yeah, they're going to charge you out the wazoo, I'm sure, but you need to. As a matter of fact, the more you pay for your custom Animu grips, the more degenerate they were, and that's a point system. So whoever pays the most money for their grips to VZ Grips, is it vzgrips.com?
Yeah.
Okay, vzgrips.com. And then what you do is you send us a picture of your Animu grips that you got.
Yeah.
And you send the price tag that you had to pay. And whoever has the highest dollar amount wins the most shame.
Yeah, and we're going to send you a little treat. So yeah, actually do that. Go to VZ
Is it going to be one of those murder pencils that you like?
Oh. Well, no, because that would cost money. But we'll send them something. But I do love these pencils. VZ Grips doesn't just sell G10 grips for rifles and pistols. They also sell VZ #2 tactical pencils in yellow. See this pencil?
It looks like a pencil.
It sure does look a lot like a pencil.
It looks like it's made out of wood.
It's not.
I think made of G10. Okay, can I be honest with you? The part when you get to the sheath is where I don't understand, because then it's like, who carries the pencil in a sheath? They need to make a pocket.
It's just protector. A little leather sleeve. It's not like.
But they need a pocket protector. Tell them they need to make. It needs to be It needs to look like a normal pocket protector, but it's got like a hardened G10 like cup at the bottom,
right?
So that you don't stab yourself in the nipple.
You know what I'm working on for this? What? I'm working on a little Picatinny mount that looks like one of the school crank pencil sharpeners, and it's going to be a bayonet mount for this.
But then the dull side would be sticking out.
No, but you're just going to put it in backwards, like that weird kid.
No, I don't like that now.
Well, anyway, VZ Grips.
You need to make a mount. You need to make a mount that looks like that weird pink rubber eraser.
Yeah. Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, then it's on the right side.
VZ Grips is a great company. There is a promotional code, a coupon. You can use it. It's this week 15. This week 15, and you will get a discount and our blessing.
This week 15.
This week 15.
What's the 15?
You have VZ Grips on your carry gun.
I do. Actually, I didn't even know I did until you started telling me about this, and I was like, I just bought them from somewhere, and I like them a lot. And then the next thing I know, I was like, oh no, those are VZ Grips. Actually, they're very aggressive,
They're awesome.
I've been wearing. God, I must have had them on there for like 2 years now, and I sweat and I'm fat and I fall down a lot.
You are fat.
Yeah, and they never broke. That was 2 hips ago, but the grips are fine.
Awesome.
This is real, by the way, not the hip part, but like it
Yeah.
sounds like I'm lying, but I have them on my.
I've actually never seen you fall down, but
Yeah, no, I fall down a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know who I don't think he falls much.
I'm surrounded by things that are smaller than me,
Yeah.
and the dogs drool everywhere.
I was attempting to transition to the next
And I have
story, but I don't
hardwood
think
floors.
that
Oh,
this
sorry.
guy falls much because, you know, he has a mobility device that probably prevents him from falling.
Mhm.
But this is North Carolina Republican Madison Cawthorn.
I met him apparently.
Yeah, tell us about that.
He wandered. He rolled into a conversation we were having, said some shit, and rolled off. And then someone's like, "Oh, have you met him?" And I went, "No." And they said, "Oh, that's Madison Cawthorn." And I went, "I should have known that because I have a friend here that apparently follows his antics." So like, I had to text my homie and be like, "I ran into your number one superstar guy, and I didn't even realize I had." But that was yesterday, actually. He was at the gun show.
And he's known
He was probably shopping for a new gun because of this article.
because they lost it. Yeah.
I know.
So
let's go into it.
he is known for behaving differently. He was once on a Zoom meeting with the government lizards, where he was openly and notoriously cleaning his gun, and this made people big mad.
They were very uncomfortable that he would clean his gun hundreds of miles away from the nearest
from
one
wherever
of them.
they are.
Yeah,
That's unacceptable. He's previously had a loaded gun on him while trying to go through TSA in Charlotte, and
that was a no-no. You're not allowed to do that.
that's supposed to. He did it again.
Apparently, this week he also tried to go through.
This is the gun.
Wait, is there a photo of the gun? What's the gun?
This is the gun. It's a staccato. Of course it is.
Is that a 45 AARP? What is that? I can't see
staccato.
It's
C2.
tiny on my screen.
Yeah.
What's a staccato?
Doesn't look. It's a double stack 2011 Bingle.
So it's like, is that a 9mm 1911 clone?
A lot of them are 9mm. I don't know whether his was or not.
That looks 9mm-ish from the magazine.
It could be 357 Pig, but you know we can't.
Oh, that's true too. But he's like, so he's rolling like a smaller bore double stack 1911 clone. Are those expensive? Because they
with the commander size barrel.
Yeah,
these are really expensive.
Are they really expensive?
They're like foul expensive.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're talking over a G, like based out, I think. And so yeah, this was his second incident carrying firearms at airport security checkpoints.
What did he lose the first time?
I wonder.
Like, how many times can he do this and get them taken away? And then who's the guy that's going to start the Madison Cawthorn collection where they buy all the same guns that he had seized from him at TSA?
So Democratic leaders on congressional panels that oversee the TSA are seeking answers about how the agency handled these incidents and urging stiffer penalties for repeat offenders. And I'm sure that's not partisan motivated at all.
What'd they do? They took his gun away from him. Is there a fine? Do you get a fine? I actually don't know what happens if you...
You could face criminal consequences, but it's very hard to prove that you did it intentionally, probably until like the 8th time.
I feel like the TSA, when they find you actively carrying the gun on your hip, has to be like, what is that? And you're like, oh. And then they go, oh. Like, there's got to be this awkward moment because they're not, they're probably not prepared for that to be the thing that happens at that moment.
Cawthorn was stopped as he was passing through security at Charlotte Douglas International Airport after a TSA officer detected a gun in the lawmaker's carry-on bag. He was cited for possession of a dangerous weapon on city property, then released. According to the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, his gun was confiscated as per standard procedure, officials said.
Yeah, it's interesting that he was charged for dangerous weapon on city property because that sounds like a municipal thing. You think so?
Yeah,
that doesn't sound like
how
the TSA.
The TSA
that
stuff
doesn't
works.
say. So the TSA thing, you'd think it'd be federal, but that doesn't sound like a federal charge.
So I'll tell you what happened the time that I forgot that I had ammunition in my bag when I was going on. They pulled me aside, and then they called the cops, and they had the local cops come, and they just
that would
stood
explain
there.
a municipal charge then.
Yes. So and that's what I've seen.
Wait! They're gonna call the police because you had ammunition?
They did call the cops on me, and they made me sit there for a long time.
What did the cops do with that? They just show up and go, Okay.
They wrote down the head stamp of every round that was in there, and I had a mixed.
What does that tell them?
I don't know.
I feel
But
like
they
that's a
wrote it all
panic
down.
move. They're like sitting there going, "What the hell do we do for this?"
Apparently, they do it every day. That's what they were telling me.
But why are they writing it? There's no serial number on it. Never mind.
I
Don't
don't.
tell
Yeah,
them that.
I didn't
Don't
care.
correct it. Don't correct
yeah.
it. This is the dumbest.
I was just like, yeah, whatever. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was an accident.
Wait, does that mean that? Wait, Matt. Does that mean you could take a round of ammunition and grind off the back marking and mark it yourself with a laser for whatever you want, and then go back in with one round of ammunition and have it taken from you and have them have to write down some stupid thing?
I don't want to try it, but I think that could work. But you know what the worst part about my experience was?
What?
So they kept like, so the reason there was ammo in my bag is I was visiting somewhere and I had left my carry gun with this person who was there in Georgia. I had to qualify to use the shooting range. So I had my carry gun. I was like, oh, okay. They're like, okay, well, you have to unload it. You have to use our ammo. I'm like, okay. And so I just dump the mag into my bag.
Oh.
I qualify and I move about my day, and I forgot that I did that. And so there was like a bunch of rounds of 9mm in there just scattered around.
Okay.
There was also a few spent shell casings from my bag being open next to me while I was shooting.
Wait, did they charge you for their ammo that they made you qualify with?
Yes.
Mm.
Yep. Annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Then as they put my bag through the scanner like 8 times because they kept finding more. And then they took yeah, and they took out and like they're like, oh, I think I found it, and they're like, oh, that's just an empty case, and they put it back in the bag. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna keep finding it, like. Like he literally was like, oh, that's just an empty case. You can fly with this one, bloop, and then puts it back through.
Hey, at least he's being
and then he
fair.
found it again. It was awesome. But anyway, that happened to this guy. Mm-hmm. Do you think, Mr. Representative Crawfish, do you think he's doing it on purpose?
I don't know. I who knows?
Well, let's do some of our trademark ad hominem.
It's certainly a way to get attention. Let me tell you.
Look at this young man.
Mm-hmm.
Does he look like he wants attention?
It's hard to tell. He does have a microphone, and there is a camera pointed at him.
And what about that haircut?
Yeah,
I think
I'm not a good judge of haircuts.
You're not?
No, I don't. I know an attention-seeking haircut to me is like a dye job or something.
Right. I don't know. It just seems frat boyish to me, but whatever. Maybe he's a good guy. I don't know. I don't care about.
Oh, Matt, do you have an anti-frat boy bias?
Yes. Next up, let's talk about microstamping.
Okay.
How do you feel about microstamping technology?
To be honest with you, I don't understand how they think it's going to work. Do they know that firing pins smear? Like,
well,
do you think?
Yeah, they do, and that's why they fixed the law. Because at first the patent was that it's just on the firing pin, and then people explained that firing pins are readily able to be ground down, and all this stuff, and that they
not only that, but they literally smear. When
yes, they do.
Most case identification comes from the smear pattern of the firing pin on the primer.
Right, yeah,
in the way you can. I got a buddy that can tell what model gun it is,
right,
by looking at how the firing pin smeared. You know what I mean?
Yes. So there was one company that had this technology for the firing pin head, and everyone in California was going to require that this be present in all handguns after a certain period of time, and then it was pointed out, but you can just sand it off and also just easily replace it, and also this is stupid, and also firing pins move.
Yeah, but even if you don't sand it off, whatever you put on there is just going to become
a
smear.
Yes, and that's yes. It doesn't work. But then they fixed the law.
Okay.
By saying, okay, we'll just make it so it puts it on 2 places on the case.
How would you do that?
Oh
God! So it's gotta be like the Swiss Federally?
There's one company that made one that arguably sort of worked, but it one shot. And so then California's like, okay, yeah, no, all future guns have to have this. And they, including, the mag disconnect and the loaded chamber indicator and all that. Of course, nobody has brought this to market.
Right.
Because it's impossible, especially with a self-loading pistol, because people might think, oh, we'll just put the identifying information in the sidewall.
The hope
Well,
is
the
that
case has
they're
to come out.
their entire argument is they're going to recover cases,
Right.
and then
identify
materially
the gun.
identify who owned the gun when they find the case.
Right. The serial number would be like translated into like a little, almost little QR code type thing.
And they expect that this is just gonna
work.
Yeah. You can duct tape like a Ziploc bag to your gun.
Well,
and then you could just catch all the brass.
In 2013 is when they decided that this was viable technology.
Okay.
Because the patent had expired.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the fact
the patent had expired by 2013?
That's when it expired. Yeah, 2013.
How are they double stamping? Is it some sort of active?
No. The microstamping, the only existing microstamping.
Oh, just the microstamping at all
on the firing pin, and even that designer was like, at best, 1 in 10 cases will be identifiable with like a scanning electron microscope.
Oh yeah, but they think that works because they see all the dudes running around with 30-round mags. They don't know that they buy like 5 Lucy's and put them in there.
Well, so I don't know if you know how this works.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, to buy a handgun in California, it has to be on the, and it's not a approved firearm roster. It's not the safe handguns roster. It is the not unsafe handguns roster.
Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yeah, the handgun is certified not unsafe because they could never call a gun safe. No new handguns can be put on the roster if they don't do microstamping.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's all of these requirements to have your guns put on there. Like you have to, re-up your thing. They're checking on the same model of gun and breaking it repeatedly. So guns are falling off the roster. And last week, like all HK pistols fell off the roster.
Who's doing the microstamping?
No one.
Then how did only HK fall off the roster?
Oh, because other companies are like, no, they're recertifying the old guns.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Right, because they're like grandfathered, but you have to like continue to jump through these hoops. To have your.
So HK's like, we're not doing that.
Yep, and also Walther just quit.
They should all quit. Like, why would you jump through this crap?
So now there are, including color combinations. How many handguns?
Wait, do you have to get a different certification for different color?
Oh, every model, every SKU.
Okay, yep, okay.
Okay, so including every SKU, right? Like the American flag version, the stainless version, the 4-inch stainless, the 3-inch blue. How many handguns, the gun that we have the fundamental right to protect ourselves with, do you think are available to be sold in California?
Several.
Several.
Is it under 100?
250.
Oh wow. Okay, that's not a lot.
Yeah, especially when you.
I wonder if some of those are still
colors.
Yeah. Oh god.
Here, hold on. Let's go on the website.
No, you're not allowed to transact them at all. Like if I go,
there are certain ways you can get them.
Yeah, because if I go on Gunbroker, well, nobody will ship to California from Gunbroker anyway.
So you couldn't have it transferred in. You can. There's a way to buy them off roster.
Okay.
I don't fully understand it. It involves like a law enforcement officer buying it as a duty weapon and then selling it privately.
Oh my god.
They started really cracking down on that though. Like it used to be that cops were just buying boatloads of Glocks and like selling them because they'd sell for like
a retirement plan. Yeah.
Yeah. They'd sell for like double. So, and that's also, by the way, the California not unsafe handgun roster is why Glock still makes the 3rd gen. And Glock hates this because it doesn't have any patent protection on it, right? So everybody's allowed to, like Palmetto State has the Jackal. Everybody's allowed to make 3rd gen Glock stuff.
No, that's the Dagger.
The Dagger, yeah. The Jackal's their AR-18 that hopefully will come out eventually. And Glock wants desperately to quit making the 3rd gen. But if they do, they lose the California market. So here's the California not unsafe handgun roster.
You know what? I always wonder, because isn't the answer to this to do what Barrett did?
Which is?
Just refuse to sell into the state if the state won't let you sell in the state.
Yeah, no, so
In other words, like
the
they won't let the
I know what you mean.
If the civilians can't have it, the law enforcement can't be sold it.
Right.
I know
so
that
this
they don't.
is when you subtract out. It's when you subtract out the different colors. There's 250 total guns, and they include such, and with 250 guns, you'd be hoping that these would be like good guns, but they include such things as the Accutech AT382 and the Arms Corps High Standard.
Oh my god.
Beretta 92, like. But yeah, all of the USPs. So let's search for H and K.
Okay. There's none of those. You're not allowed to have this.
The Walther, P22 California, all of the different colors.
I love that they had the P22 California specifically.
Because they updated the gun for the rest of the market.
Yeah, but they're stuck.
They're stuck. So the P22 California is the old
How
version.
many sales are they getting into that market? I wonder if HK just did the numbers and went, this is not worth it.
I mean, they must have. Let's see what else. What's no Kel-Tex.
Okay. These are all priority arms for you.
Well, okay, you give me a maker.
1911. Just anything 1911.
Okay.
There's so many, aren't there?
2 pages of 1911.
It's like half the list. It's just versions of the 1911 because that's okay.
Only one of them in 9mm, and it's the Springfield EMP compact. That's the 9mm.
There's a wall of 45 ACP and 22 LR.
Yep.
See, my answer is more fun. Anyway,
dreadful. But
stop looking at California guns. This is going to give you a migraine.
Yeah, it's really upsetting. But that's the state of the law there.
I think they need to stop selling in. They just have to, because
I feel like, and again, that's when we get to the acceleration.
Yeah, it sucks, but you're just gonna have to.
I do think that's the way to do it. Honestly, you know why? Because right now, all of these, little squiggly bone, little wormy, federal judges out there are like, oh no, it's not actually interfering with your ability to have a gun because you could buy one. You could buy one used, or you could pick off the list.
The trick is now the police officers are allowed to buy whatever they want, right?
Yeah, with some extent.
Privately, I think even.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. My homie is friends with Officer Greg, so I might get in trouble for this. But they should just not sell to if they can't sell in California to regular Joe, they shouldn't sell it to either the city or state, and they shouldn't sell it to individual police officers either. Under the LEO stuff, they should just ignore it all and be like, "You don't understand. If we can't ship it, we're not shipping. We're not going to create a shipment process just for you." And if we can't sell openly, because a lot of those contracts, man, militarily and stuff like that, a lot of the gun makers, especially in the U.S., tend to take really low, almost losses to some degree in order to get sort of that market penetration of being like the trusted name in law enforcement, the trusted name in military. They're not making their profits specifically on the military. Yeah, they do when they get big contracts with the Army and stuff like that. But there is a certain amount of you could have a better margin, except you really want the credit, and that created a competitive sales pressure to get them into police hands, So it just seems like, well, look, if I can't sell into your market, then I don't need to sell to you either.
I was trying to look up how you keep your gun on the roster.
Oh, don't even worry about it. It's probably annoying.
Well, yeah, it's probably anyway. It's preposterous.
If everybody gets really,
if you suddenly now, let's say Glock and whatever, all these other people are just like, actually, you know what, we're discontinuing it and we're not submitting it for your testing or whatever.
Right.
So sorry. And there's literally, you can't buy a handgun.
Right.
How are they going to uphold that law?
Well, number one, that would give the base person a chance, like the average consumer, a chance to fight in court to say you have effectively created a ban on my Second Amendment right.
Right.
Number two, though, I really do think starving the state from the same services would be even faster, though. I really think if it's just like, look,
everyone would be furious. Especially, imagine if this happened before COVID and you couldn't, like, all those people lined up in California were having to line up at the used gun shops.
Right.
Like, people would be going to their representatives' homes, which is a good condition, I think.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have handguns anymore, so that's
Yeah, it would be
better.
safe and just a normal talk.
Safe for the politicians. That's all.
Right.
That's what the government's for. It's there to protect the politician.
The politicians and their lackeys, the cops.
All right, what are we doing now?
Do you know how much crap I got when I wore that thin blue line shirt in one of these episodes?
I was wondering where you got it.
So somebody who I knew down in Palm Beach, I still know them. They're like in the police,
world
fraternity crap.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to actually call it.
He's trying not to say circle jerk, but
cult. And I'm outspoken in my criticisms of law enforcement,
right.
and he called me a terrorist bastard, which I don't agree that we amounted to that when I just said that we maybe should hold them responsible. So the next day I come back and there's that shirt on my desk.
That's a weird response, but okay.
Yeah, he'd like come in and put a thin blue line shirt on my desk to like get me. So I started wearing it.
Right.
Like, ironically.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, it would be funny if I wore it on This Week in Guns, and everybody got super mad.
To be fair, I have a deep and profound respect for police officers as public servants. That's a very difficult job when they are being public servants.
Yes.
The problem is, just like politicians and many other areas in which you end up with some authority over someone, right? If someone's drunk driving, we would like you to pull them over, please. And you must exert authority over that person if they do not want to be pulled over and would rather smack into a family of four in a minivan, right?
Right.
Like, we would like you to, we as a society, we would like you to extend authority over other people, which is a very tenuous thing. And it makes people nervous, and it gets overstepped frequently. And like we were talking about earlier with ambiguous laws, we would like it when the situation is ambiguous for you to leave it the hell alone.
Right.
And some people can't do that.
No.
And that's where the bad reputation comes from. And so when you sit there and try to police the police, they get very offended because they don't like someone looking over their shoulder, as no one would. So I don't find it surprising if I disagree with what the police are doing, or if I have a concern and it makes my police friends uncomfortable. I'm okay that they're uncomfortable, but also they have to be aware that I'm uncomfortable because they get to do things that I don't. And you and I have the same friend,
right?
And I can't go anywhere where I have to follow him because he speeds,
right?
And he gets pulled over. I haven't been pulled over for a moving violation for years because I go, well, I don't go under, but I go under enough. Right. But that mother goes 20 over in every state, everywhere he goes, all the time. And he never gets a speeding ticket. And I would get reckless endangerment. Like, it's just like, oh, I got here so much faster than you. And I'm like, I don't have a get out of, oh my God, free card like you do. And it happened all the time. I will tell it to his face because he brags. He tells me about it.
No,
I know of like 7.
He's probably the best.
I would have had my license revoked by now.
Yeah, he's probably the best cop I've ever met. He really,
but he's still doing that.
But he is still doing that. He's still doing that. But there have been instances where he actually put his life in physical danger for other humans that he had no reason to.
Right. But you could, by the way, you could say, okay, well then that's fair, right? He risks his life so he gets to do that, right?
And so he gets a pension, and that's why they do that.
Yeah, but fine, whatever. If you think that that's fair and balanced to you, great. However, you can still understand where some people look around and go, so how come he gets to do things I don't get to do?
Right. Exactly.
And it's just because he signed up for this job. There's other hard jobs, and they don't get to just do things.
There's much more fatal jobs like roofer.
Right. Oh, yeah. Roofers die all the time. Roofers barely get through it drunk, and then they try to drive home drunk, and they get pulled over by the guy that gets to speed.
That's awesome.
This make everybody mad.
Oh yeah, whatever. Who cares? I'm right. Anyway. You're right. Whatever. So This I want to talk about a New Jersey guy. Guy in New Jersey.
From California to New Jersey.
Yeah, we got to talk about the best places in the country that we like to go and spend time.
Okay.
So this New Jersey gentleman, you know, a lot of people talk a big talk online about what they'd do if somebody came for their guns.
Right, the fake dog full of tannerite.
So 51-year-old Robert Condie had police show up at his home on Friday to serve a warrant to seize his firearms. And he did not like this. He held them off with a flamethrower.
Oh.
For hours.
Like a legit good one, or like one of those?
No, that does not look like a legit good one.
Is it one of the ones you get at PSA?
Or one of the ones that Elon like sells? Yeah, see, look, here's the video.
Flame. Oh no, that's getting out there.
Yeah, okay, it's a good like 15-20 meters.
You know what my favorite part about all this is he didn't shoot them. Right? He just used the flamethrower.
Right, which that's what I was.
It's not a firearm. It's not. Yeah.
It's an arm that shoots fire.
Right, but it's not qualified at all as a firearm.
Well, so thank God no one got hurt. You know, that's good.
Well, didn't this story start with they were coming to take his guns?
Oh, physically.
Right. What reason? Do we know why? What?
He had illegal guns.
Oh.
So that's bad.
What made them illegal? Was it full auto?
Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is there some?
It doesn't say in the article.
Because if they were illegal because they were full auto, then that just means that the reason they needed to seize all of his property is because he didn't pay a $200 tax stamp. Because that's all it is.
That
right?
You're not allowed to do anymore.
Yeah, for reasons. Sure.
Yeah, no, because
it's not a ban. It's not a ban because it's just a tax stamp.
It's not a ban. It's just a tax.
But then you can't have
and you can pay your tax on the $20,000 gun. Okay. You can still have it.
Other than owning the illegal guns that were sitting there being illegal, had he done anything to harm anybody? Or
I don't know. I looked into it. There wasn't much detail. It was really surface level.
I'm surprised.
But the standoff came to a peaceful resolution early Wednesday afternoon.
Did he run out of lighter fluid?
With no reported injuries to Condie or law enforcement. Police said Condie did not have a criminal history and was transported to a nearby medical facility for a mental health evaluation following the incident. So no criminal history.
Wait, why was he given a mental health evaluation?
Probably the flamethrower thing.
But that's a perfectly reasonable and logical reaction to people trying to take your guns.
Well, but they were illegal guns.
No, if he had done, look, I'm telling you, if he had hurt somebody real bad,
listen, he got charged.
Just tell me he kicked the neighbor's dog or something to warrant
prohibited weapons and ammunition.
That's not a thing. I don't know what that means.
Obstruction of the law
by not wanting to be arrested for not a thing.
Aggravated assault for also that.
For roasting marshmallows.
No, pigs. What?
I'm trying to imagine our cop friend if he walked into a situation where someone was like blowing a flamethrower around, and I feel like I know him because his first reaction would be like, "My flamethrower is better than that."
Yeah,
like he'd just be like, "What's that going like 40 feet? I can do like
that sucks.
I can do like 70, and mine's got like napalm in it." Like he's like, because he's one of those guys that A has a flamethrower,
what does
and
he
B
have?
He's our other friend gave it to him actually.
Is it an M2?
I don't know. No, it's one of the new ones. It's like it's like an actual like it has its CO2 tank and shit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's very a lot. He uses it only for evil, so it's fine.
He doesn't use it for brush clearing.
I'm sorry. I just imagine him being at work going like, I didn't bring my flamethrower. What the
heck? And then like him saying that out loud as this is unfolding.
Oh no, he'd be like, I don't think he would, seeing that flamethrower blast, I don't think he'd be scared of his life at all. I think he'd just be like, now I'm upset that I didn't bring my flamethrower. Like he'd be really upset.
We could have had a cool thing.
Yeah.
We could have had a cool fight.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm just glad no one was hurt. If anybody was hurt, I would have been joking like slightly less.
Yeah.
About it a little bit.
That did not look like a very serious flamethrower.
No, it looked like one of those.
It's like a garden
flamethrower. You know,
yeah.
like
I bought one.
flamethrower.
Yeah,
it's got a propane tank.
Yeah, that's like an apartment tier flamethrower.
It's for clearing studios.
Yeah.
And they don't have stiction to them, right? They don't have like it's
that's the kind of
it's
flamethrower that
like
you
putting a
would
lighter
rather...
in front of an aerosol can.
No, I feel like that might be. I don't know. I'm not as alarmed by that flame. I wouldn't want you to flamethrower me with it, but it looked like they
Right.
got out of the way of it very easily. It wasn't like lingering where it hit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't a real man's flamethrower.
I'm sorry. We should take this more seriously, but I'm sorry.
No, we
We're the wrong two people, because for me, I'm always just like, okay, so we are now in a violent situation. What preceded this? Well, he was doing absolutely nothing to no one, but it was illegal. Okay, do you guys
We
look
assume.
around? Like, look at... to be fair, yeah, but they said no criminal history, so
Which is indicative of something.
Yeah, which is so I don't know. I just get annoyed by stuff like that because I'm like, you guys have now created a situation where there was none to prevent. I mean, if there's some sign of active prevention, fine, but I'd like to hear it.
No, yeah, community police. I don't have a problem with community policing, even.
Yeah.
If you're not just going out trying to like arrest kids for having marijuana or whatever.
Yeah, but that's a problem. Is it's the HOA mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, we'll have an HOA and it'll help, and then next thing you know, like these you just hate them.
No, that's like in my high school. I was the first year where they had a school resource officer, and would you believe crimes on campus shot through the roof? Would you believe it?
It's because they were on paper now.
Yes, and now all of a sudden you've turned these kids that are maybe going in through a little something, unemployable. Thanks.
Yeah, just a gentle stabbing.
Thanks, Ossifer.
Yeah. What are we doing? We got to do another article.
Okay, last thing. So you've heard all of this fluff about the ghost gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
was that part of the Karl drama? Did he call them ghost guns?
No, I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't care.
Okay.
But as news people will inform us, ghost gun bad.
Okay.
Okay, and you see that these...
It sounds badass, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds, honestly, the moniker ghost gun sounds way cooler than extruded plastic thing.
Yeah, no, definitely bad. We don't like those.
Yeah,
we don't like those. So
I have a bright pink ghost gun.
Yeah, nice. I have one too.
Yeah,
it's here. It's the non-target model.
I have this one, but I took it apart and it cracked.
Oh, I recognize that.
Yeah, I have to put it back together.
So there's all these statistics that ATF was also using to like bolster. Oh, this is we're going to ghost gun in the crime scene. We should protect the families, right? Yeah, to protect them.
So for the audio listeners, he literally can't keep going because I'm waving a gun around that he recognizes, and he's looking at it, and the visual part of his brain is engaged, and so he can't use the talkie part.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it off. So I'm looking away from the camera now.
Okay.
They keep saying the amount of these guns, right, to justify redefining frame of receiver, to justify all this stuff. Have you ever wondered how legit those numbers are?
I wonder about it all the time because, as far as I've been able to tell, all numbers are made up. I actually don't believe in numbers at this point.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, they'll say that we recovered all these guns and that they've been involved in gun crimes. And of course, the thing they don't tell you is that usually the gun crime
being the gun
is having the gun, right?
Right. Being the gun is the crime. This goes back to our earlier article.
Yeah. So Emily Miller, who is a news person,
we disarmed a criminal. What was he doing? Being armed.
Got him. The gun feed tweeted and pointed out that people in the government specifically try to justify these bans by using the term ghost gun to refer to guns like this, right?
It's literally the spookiest phrase.
Yeah. Which is just a regular gun that had the serial number crudely ground off.
Yeah, somebody has taken a Dremel to a regular gun, which, by the way, does not work as well.
Doesn't work at all. You can totally read the serial number even here. News person Emily Miller says that she's been reporting from a source inside one major police department that the polymer ones are only about 20% of those guns recovered. and that she went through weekly firearm recoveries on DC Police's website and saw about the same percentage.
What do they call it? What do they qualify as a polymer? A 3D printed one or a P80 or
So
what?
this is where the problem with Twitter is that it's very short form. Does she mean 20% of the things that are called ghost guns, or does she mean 20% of crime guns?
There's no way it's 20% of crime.
Impossible, right? So I'm assuming that it's.
I mean,
20%
wait,
of the
where was this? What city?
She didn't say.
I guess if you lived in somewhere where like gun sales were almost exclusively banned, like there just was
Right.
no gun shops.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But I don't.
I'm biased because I'm in
wouldn't
the
buy it.
deep south, but
Right.
like I know a guy that's a forensic examiner that just like
Yep.
they get in guns all the time, and I've been through their storage room, and I don't think I saw a single 3D printed gun, although that was a year ago.
Right.
It's the last time I was in there. I saw an
Well-
AK that was literally spray painted gold, and there was a AR that was it was a pistol AR, and it was in a bag.
Well, I'm sure you saw plenty of guns with the serial numbers ground terribly.
Oh yeah, no, they'd been re-raised. Like it was very very simple to get those back because metal.
Right. But there was an attempt.
Predictable way.
Right.
You'd have to drill a hole through the dang thing.
Right.
So.
But I'm saying there was an attempt, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of buy that. I kind of buy that, the statistics are not only so busted because the guns crime was existing,
right,
but that they're padding the numbers, right?
Oh yeah, by including anything that's been stripped of a serial number. Oh
right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wonder how many pre-68 guns are included in that too.
That's actually not. I wonder if the way they tag it is they go through their inventory, and when it says no serial number,
yeah,
they just call it. But we're speculating.
Right,
but 20% seems really high to me. Like even within the category, the number of defacements that I saw versus anything that would be homemade.
Well, given the popularity of polymer 80s,
maybe it would depend on their.
20% of this infinitesimally small number of firearms, right? Might make sense. I feel anyway, just something to think about.
It could be representative of their popularity in the private market too, because you tend to see a lot of resellers of those. Because it's a kit, it's fun. Like it's legitimately an enjoyable thing to do.
Yep, and the government has to take it away from us because reasons.
You're very bitter tonight.
But you know what the government can't take away from us?
What's that?
Patches and other little trinkets.
They probably would try if they could.
They'd totally try. But anyway, for right now, before they're banned, you can go to Patriot Patch Company. It's patriotpatch.co. You can join the Patch of the Month Club. These guys support the show. They support us. You should support them, please, and tell them I did it. This is kind of, I like this.
Okay, you just would you like to describe it?
This is a patch of a monster truck that is sitting on a rocket that has a mortar, firework mortar launcher on top. That says "point away from face," and a bunch of bottle rockets and the I forgot what you call those, the like canister.
They're called Saturn missiles.
Saturn missiles at the back.
Yeah,
and it's clearly it's the June patch, and it's clearly for 4th of July.
Which is kind of smart because it means you have it
right
in time for 4th of July.
Exactly.
Because 4th of July is very early. You see a lot of people do this. They do something for July, but it's not in your mailbox before the 6th.
Right.
This is smart.
But I just got it's a RC monster truck. You can see the you can see the little antenna.
Oh, now I have this idea. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you. So all kinds
show
of cool
show me another patch. I would like to see another patch, please.
Okay. Here we go.
He's clicking. He's going to go to the new
patches.
All right.
There's the Mandalorian.
There's a Mandalorian patch.
And then there's...
Is that a bear hanging out of a limo? Oh.
Believe in a higher power. It's
high powers with Celtic knots. I feel like there's a reference. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, go back. Okay. Oh, there's a 1911. There's just a 1911. That's always a good pick.
This is the one that you were looking at there.
What is that? No, I wasn't looking at that. I don't know what that is. That's Swords. Oh, that's the Last Action Hero reference. It's very topical.
This is a...
No, it's literally a giant teddy bear hanging out of a bazooka
at the top of a limousine.
You know what though? here's the thing. I want everybody to go to Patriot Patch Company and just go scroll through the patches and tell me how many references you don't get so that I don't feel lonely. Because I don't get a lot of references.
Me either.
So you got to go there and you have to look. Oh, you get thin blue line patch. Yes.
Yeah, we could get that.
Yeah.
We could get American flag, red line flag for the responders, American flag blackout.
You know what they need to do? They need to do a thick blue line for the retired
dude.
police officers.
Oh, thank you so much, Patriot Patch Company, for supporting the show, despite what I said.
Wait, I want to see the ammunition. Show me ammunition. Oh, it's gone. There's
the ammo patches?
There's an ammunition patch section. That might be useful. You could use that to mark your thing. Oh, no, there's different. These aren't the head. I thought they were head stamps. Oh, look, they got they have an
so they were. They had those before. The head stamps was the different stuff. And that could be, like you were saying, for like an ammo can?
No, I like the I roll my own. Look at the I roll my own.
That is cool.
Yeah.
They do have this one of...
You guys could, by the way, if you're listening, you could see this by going to Patriot Patch Company.
Yeah, patriotpatch.co. And if you find something you like, go ahead and enter promotional code TWIG10. That's TWIG 10. You will receive a discount on your order on me.
Wait, why 10?
I don't know.
I want to know where these codes come from.
I think it's 10%.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
So what was the other one? The other one was This Week 15?
Yeah, that was on the VZ Grips.
VZ Grips was This Week 15.
Yeah.
Why was it 15?
I think it was 15%.
So if I put in 20, do I get 20% off?
You should try it.
Meanwhile, they're not going to give you any credit because it's like, we're trying to say This Week 15.
Yeah, Twig 10 definitely took 10% off the Circle of Life.
Go back and put in Twig 15. See if we hack the code.
Let's see if we can. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me. I'll show you. We'll do it here together.
Okay. Yeah. Put in all your shipping info.
Oh, dang it. No. Here, hold on. Twig 99. Dang, Twig 99 didn't work.
It didn't work.
Twig 10 works.
Okay, only Twig 10 works.
Yeah, they might have to fix it on the back end, because clearly there's something wrong with the matrix.
Something's going on.
Well, anyway, Othais, thank you for joining me.
Uh-huh.
Did you have a nice time?
Yeah, I ruined this. I can't wait to see whoever's editing this, like, cursing at the amount of time that we put into this.
Some people will like it. A lot of people, they drive cars.
Yeah.
They like to, listen.
I'm the worst guest, but that's okay.
You're awesome.
And I'm better than Sean because I'm here right now.
Well, thank you, and we hope to have you back. You have been wonderful. Shit.
He literally...
Cool.
Look, the important thing to remember, folks, is whether you agree or disagree with whatever bullshit we're saying, that we're all enjoying guns, and we're all enjoying them responsibly.
Right.
Until we don't.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
Blah, 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 blah.